Hey there, welcome to another episode of Blake's Everyday Podcast. Starting a little bit later tonight, just because I was trying to put together this stand. It fell apart on me. I was trying for I don't know, for quite a bit. The whole bottom fell off of it pretty much. So I guess that's what you get for buying a $15 camera stand or phone stand or however you want to call it. But it is what it is. I'm also doing it at a different angle here because my phone needs to be charged. Yeah, I have all sorts of excuses tonight. But like I was saying last night, in last night's video, as today we are starting in Exodus. We did finish the book of Genesis last night, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, Exodus. It's gonna be pretty awesome. So we'll just go ahead and start it off. But I will say this is kind of cool. So in my Bible, it's got kind of like a timeline of things here on the side that I can kind of go through real quick. So it shows like 1526 BC, Moses was born. Oh, I guess I should start at the bottom there. I'm guessing. Well, I don't know. And then 1486, Moses flees to Midian. 1446, Exodus from Egypt. 1445, Ten Commandments given. 1406, Israel enters Canaan. I am really thinking that I should be going from the bottom, so I'm just going to stop there before I confuse everybody, because yeah, I think I'm supposed to go up, not down. So that's different because you read the chapters down. But hey, I didn't write it. um, so chapter 1, the Israelites oppressed. So this is basically the title for chapter 1. So these are the names of the sons of Israel who went to Egypt with Jacob, each with his family: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah. Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan and Naphtali, Gad and Asher. The descendants of Jacob numbered 70 in all. Joseph was already in Egypt. Now Joseph and all his brothers and all that generation died. But the Israelites were exceedingly fruitful. They multiplied greatly, increased in numbers, and became so numerous that the land was filled with them. When a new king, to whom Joseph meant nothing, came to power in Egypt, "Look," he said to his people, "the Israelites have become far too numerous for us. Come, we must deal shrewdly with them, or they will become even more numerous, and if war breaks out, will join our enemies, fight against us, and leave the country." So they put slave masters over them to oppress them with forced labor, and they built Pithom and Ramesses as store cities for Pharaoh. But the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. So the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites and worked them ruthlessly. They made their lives bitter with harsh labor and brick and mortar, and with all kinds of work in the fields. In all their harsh labor, the Egyptians worked them ruthlessly. The king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives, whose names were Shiphrah and Puah, "When you are helping the Hebrew women during childbirth on the delivery stool, if you see that the baby is a boy, kill him. But if it is a girl, let her live." The midwives, however, feared God and did not do what the king of Egypt had told them to do. They let the boys live. Then the king of Egypt summoned the midwives and asked them, "Why have you done this? Why have you let the boys live?" The midwives answered Pharaoh, "Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women. They are vigorous and give birth before the midwives arrive." So God was kind to the midwives, and the people increased and became even more numerous. And because the midwives feared God, he gave them families of their own. Then Pharaoh gave this order to all his people: "Every Hebrew boy that is born you must throw into the Nile, but let every girl live." Wow. So Exodus is starting off pretty strong. Pretty wild first chapter. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and read the description down here. We do have three of them. So chapter 1, verses 8 through 12. The Israelites had not yet come to the point of admitting their helplessness. Even though they were being oppressed with increasing severity, they continued to rise to the occasion. This did not please the persecuting Egyptians. They feared that Israel would rise up against them, and in the event of war, they might join Egypt's enemies or even leave the country. It was not until the Israelites asked God to help that he responded with deliverance. I don't know if you could tell, but at the very end, while I was reading that, I totally fought off a yawn. I don't know how I did it, but I did it. Don't ask me how, but I was able to accomplish fighting off a yawn. It was magical. Chapter 1, verses 18 through 21. In the short term, the Hebrew midwives had to overcome their fears of the Egyptian king. It must have been terrifying to face such a cruel and powerful person, not knowing how he would respond. Their wisdom not only allowed Israel to continue growing, but the midwives were also blessed by God with families of their own. They destroyed any hope of reward from the king, but God's reward for their patience was worth waiting for. Chapter 1, verses 22. Oh, wait, I guess this goes into chapter 2, this description. So we'll go ahead and add that into our descriptions that we read at the end of chapter 2. So chapter 2, the title for this chapter is The Birth of Moses. Okay. Now a man of the tribe of Levi married a Levite woman, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. When she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. But when she could hide him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and coated it with tar and pitch. Then she placed the child in it and put it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. Then Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the river bank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her female slave to get it. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying, and she felt sorry for him. "This is one of the Hebrew babies," she said. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" "Yes, go," she answered. So the girl went and got the baby's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you." So the woman took the baby and nursed him. When the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, "I drew him out of the water." One day after Moses had grown up, he went out to where his own people were and watched them at their hard labor. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. Looking this way and that and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. The next day he went out and saw two Hebrews fighting. He asked one in the wrong, "Why are you hitting your fellow Hebrew?" The man said, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "What I did must have become known." Gosh, couldn't fight that one off. When Pharaoh heard of this, he tried to kill Moses, but Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, where he sat down by a well. Now a priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came to draw water and fill the troughs to water their father's flock. Some shepherds came along and drove them away, but Moses got up and came to their rescue and watered their flock. When the girls returned to Reuel, their father, he asked them, "Why have you returned so early today?" They answered, "An Egyptian rescued us from the shepherds. He even drew water for us and watered the flock." "And where is he?" Reuel asked his daughters. "Why did you leave him? Invite him to have something to eat." Moses agreed to stay with the man, who gave his daughter Zipporah to Moses in marriage. Zipporah gave birth to a son, and Moses named him Gershom, saying, "I have become a foreigner in a foreign land." During that long period, the king of Egypt died. The Israelites groaned in their slavery and cried out, and their cry for help because of their slavery went up to God. God heard their groaning, and he remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. So God looked on the Israelites and was concerned about them. All right. That was the end of chapter 2. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we got plenty of time. All right. So Exodus chapter 1 verses 22 through chapter 2 verse 8. Moses' mother had a problem. She knew that she couldn't hide her beloved baby from the Egyptians indefinitely. So she displayed remarkable wisdom and faith by literally obeying Pharaoh's command to put her son into the Nile River. But she did it in a way that preserved his life, trusting God to look after him. We don't know whether Moses' mother hoped that Pharaoh's daughter would find the baby, but after doing all she could for her son, she was willing to leave him in God's hands. Exodus chapter 2, verses 8 through 10. As we see in this passage, God graciously allowed Moses to be raised by his real mother. Not only did that allow for his normal, healthy development, but it also gave Moses a true understanding of who he was, a Hebrew. Apparently, the education he received in the Egyptian royal court never altered Moses' sense of identity with his people as he grew to manhood. His desire to promote their freedom figured prominently. Chapter 2, verses 11 through 14. Moses undoubtedly thought that he was helping his fellow Hebrew when he killed this Egyptian taskmaster. However, covering up his violent deed did not help the situation. He couldn't bury his mistake in the sand or in the past, Dang, dude. What the heck is going on with me? So as to keep it from being known and rising to haunt him, he needed to responsibly and honestly face what he had done. When we hide our mistakes, they have a way of coming back to haunt us. It is best to face them right away so we can put them to rest once and for all. Yeah, I do agree with that. That's for sure. Everybody makes mistakes. It's always important to remember that. Nobody's perfect. And, everything really does come back and, full circle pretty much. So, take that knowledge, run with it. So, chapter 2, verses 23 through 25. When Israel finally accepted the reality of their desperate situation, they confessed their need, sought God, and begged Him to deliver them from their slavery. But God's deliverance didn't come right away. They had to wait patiently for God to change their dismal situation. We need to recognize that we need God's help and ask Him to help us. But in doing so, we must recognize that we are also giving up control. We need to be willing to let God do things His way and according to His timing. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Alright, so we can go ahead and start back up on chapter 3. So the title for chapter 3 is Moses and the Burning Bush. This might be one of my shorter videos, I'm not gonna lie, I am exhausted. Now Moses was tending the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the far side of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There the angel of the Lord appeared to him in flames of fire from within a bush. Moses saw that though the bush was on fire, it did not burn up. So Moses thought, I will go over and see this strange sight, why the bush does not burn up. When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush, Moses, Moses. And Moses said, Here I am. Do not come any closer, God said. Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. Then he said, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. At this, Moses hid his face because he was afraid to look at God. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. So I have come down to rescue them from the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of the land into a good and spacious land, a land flowing with milk and honey, the home of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. And now the cry of the Israelites has reached me, and I have seen the way the Egyptians are oppressing them. So now go, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, to the Israelites, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, Who am I that I should go to the Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? And God said, I will be with you, and this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain. Moses said to God, Suppose I go to the Israelites and say to them, The God of your father has sent me to you, and they ask me, What is his name? Then what shall I tell them? God said to Moses, I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you. God also said to Moses, Say to the Israelites, The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, the name you shall call me from generation to generation. Go assemble the elders of Israel and say to them, The Lord, the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, appeared to me and said, I have watched over you and have seen what has been done to you in Egypt. And I have promised to bring you up out of your misery in Egypt, into the land of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, a land flowing with milk and honey. The elders of Israel will listen to you. Then you and the elders are to go to the king of Egypt and say to him, The Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. Let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God. But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go unless a mighty hand compels him. So I will stretch out my hand and strike the Egyptians with all the wonders that I will perform among them. After that he will let you go, and I will make the Egyptians favorably disposed toward this people, so that when you leave you will not go empty-handed. Every woman is to ask her neighbor and any woman living in her house for articles of silver and gold and for clothing, which you will put on your sons and daughters, and so you will plunder the Egyptians. All right. So we do have two descriptions here. Chapter 3, verses 10 through 11. Moses felt totally unqualified to fill the role God was commanding him to assume. He was well educated. He knew the ways of the royal court of Egypt. He also had great leadership ability, which he would demonstrate for the next 40 years. These qualities made him the best man for the job, but Moses was unable to see or accept this reality. He didn't have an accurate sense of who he was. Perhaps he saw himself as a fugitive murderer, worthy of no task greater than shepherding his father-in-law's livestock. Often our past mistakes blind us to our present gifts. We need to see ourselves as God sees us, and then respond accordingly. Chapter 3, verses 16 through 22. God called Moses to speak to the elders of Israel regarding the new life awaiting them in the promised land, along with the hope of entering such wonderful new territory. However, was the reality of dealing with the king of Egypt. The promise was wonderful, but the difficulty of the process could not be underestimated. The process of receiving God's promises can be difficult, but no matter what the pain, it will be worth it if we reach the promise of freedom and blessing. All right. I know this is going to be a short video, but I am just too tired, to be honest with you. Yeah, this is going to be my shortest video that I've made, but I can just tell you right now, it's not my reading's not going too well. I am definitely feeling my eyes get a little bit heavier. So let's go ahead and end it with a prayer. Dear God, we come to you today just happy and healthy, and we're just so blessed that you've kept us protected, kept us happy and healthy and living under a roof. As we know, the world is tough, and we're just so blessed to be in our shoes today. We are just super grateful to be on this journey with you, Lord, and learning your book, learning your word, and just continuing to grow faithfully. And we just come to you and we pray that you keep our families protected and safe and happy, and we love you, Lord, and amen. All right, guys. That is definitely the end of the video for tonight. And I hope you guys have a great Tuesday. Today was definitely a Monday, and we're already getting that week started off, so before you know it'll be Friday again. But I hope you guys have a good night, and I will talk to you tomorrow.